It's 12:05, so we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisa Tompkins. I'm a 2020 redistricting fellow with Power Coalition, and it is my week to host our coffee chat today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. What we're going to talk about this week is the testimonies involved in redistricting, and I've had the privilege of appearing at three different road shows that have been going on around the state of Louisiana. The road show in Monroe, Louisiana, the road show in Shreveport, Louisiana, and just earlier this week, the road show in Alexandria. To understand the process and rules for the redistricting, they are referenced in the NAACP Legal Defense's Louisiana Redistricting What to Know and How to Engage Guide. You'll only have 2 to 3 minutes to speak, and you can use the back of note cards to help prepare your testimony. Also, if you find you need some help preparing your testimony, the fellows will be happy to help you. I actually had the privilege of working with some people for their testimonies in Alexandria this week, and they actually did a fabulous job. Now, I know you might be questioned. Know if there are opposing viewpoints and be able to defend your position. If you don't know the answer to a question, just simply say you don't know. Let's just be honest. Be as transparent as you can be. Don't sit up there and try to embellish because it might make the situation worse. So say you don't know, but you will get back to them with an answer. That's always the best thing to do. Public testimony should include quantitative numbers and data, and qualitative stories and evidence. Again, if you find that you want to do a testimony, we are privileged to have access to so much data, a lot of numbers, a lot of population information, a lot of demographical information about the areas in which you reside. Make your testimony personal and community centered. One of the ladies that I worked with on for her testimony on Tuesday night, I told her to simply make it personal, and there were several people I saw drying their eyes when she made it personal because she talked about her 75 years in Louisiana. It was just phenomenal. She put her whole heart into it, and it did have an effect on some people. Share what negative outcomes could happen if maps change or remain the same. Also, aim for large community turnout to support your testimony. And next, be concise.
Tori, can you kind of give some background information about testimony, what LDF has been doing across the state in partnership with a lot of people, and some quick points for folks?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much, Power Coalition, for including me in this conversation. My name's Tori Wenger. I'm an attorney at the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. While I work out of our national offices, engaging with communities across the state of Louisiana is perhaps my favorite part of the job. And this redistricting cycle has already gotten off to an incredible start because of the organizing that Power Coalition and so many partners have been doing in various parts of the state to make sure that community members are both prepared to provide compelling testimony and then show up at these roadshow hearings. So I'm sure we can go over some of the upcoming dates and communities where the two legislative committees who are charged with drawing the maps for the state will be appearing and will be coming together to hear testimony from all of you all. As Lisa mentioned, she has already provided testimony in multiple cities. Other folks on the team have as well. And we've definitely seen some of the best practices that Lisa just mentioned put into action. So a few things I would say, just so that you have a sense of how things would work on the ground on the day of, how you can best prepare, so that you can feel comfortable and confident in adding your voice to this important conversation. So first of all, it's not set in stone necessarily how much time you would be given to provide your comments, but we've seen it's been about roughly 5 minutes. In some of the cities where we could see more and more people coming out, the committee leadership is essentially determining how much time folks have based off of how many cards they've received. So first, when you get there, you're going to fill out a little comment card saying that you would like to speak, indicating what maps you want to talk about. So that could be the US congressional maps, it could be the state legislative maps, or Bessie or the Public Service Commission, any of these state level maps that these legislative committees are going to have to redistrict this cycle. Could potentially also be comments that you want to make on the courts. You'll fill out that card, or you can write a comment on the back. If you write a comment on the back, they're just going to read that for you. I would definitely say if you can prepare, feel confident, and hopefully today is day one of feeling confident and getting prepared. Definitely hope that you would feel confident enough to speak in person. So the committees will share a bunch of background information on the maps, and then it will come time for public comment. They will read out the names of people in the order that you submitted the cards. So if you get there early, you submit the card, you provide your address, what you want to talk about, and then you'll be called to the mic. That's where we get into all the details of what you should have prepared in advance, your script of sorts, so that you know what the most compelling and personal testimony will be that you can make. I think we've got the slides back up, so I don't want to cut off if Lisa or anyone else was going to go through some of the script, but I'm happy to get into that as well.
No, Tori, you keep going. We're going to share your roadshow guide on our screen.
Fabulous.
And then you keep going, and then we'll go back to the fellows.
Okay, awesome. So again, for context, the roadshow is not about local redistricting. So you won't be getting up there and talking about what you think your local school board or your local police jury or city council lines should look like. It's really about either US Congress, the State House and Senate, State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, so Bessie, the state courts, or the Public Service Commission. One of the main things that we've been talking about in recent roadshows is the US congressional map, because based off of our analysis of the Voting Rights Act, the current maps, we believe, that's LDF, Power Coalition, and tons of other partners who all signed on to a letter and helped cultivate example maps. We believe that there should be the opportunity, and perhaps there might be the requirement under federal law, that there are two majority minority districts, so 2 majority Black districts out of the 6 districts that define who represents Louisiana in Washington, D.C. for the House of Representatives. So that's been the core of a lot of the recent testimony. But you can also speak about your representation at the legislative level, or why the state school board is so important to the values that you see for your community, or the type of curriculums that you want to make sure are protected for children, for your community. So whatever it is that really speaks to you about leadership, about your community, about having elected officials that are accountable to you, because the lines are drawn in such a way to make sure that no vote weighs more than yours, or otherwise manipulated to have power not fairly distributed. When you get up there, you can really speak to those values. Ultimately, you're going to start by introducing yourself. You're going to say who you are, where you're from, and then we advise that you thank the committee, you thank the leadership for being there, for engaging in this process, and for making it a real community-based and deliberative process to build out maps that best represent folks across the state, including members of your community. So once you've gone through that introduction, hopefully you've taken a few breaths, you're feeling confident, you've said your thank yous, that's when you can really get into your story, speaking to the issues that you want represented by elected officials, whether that's about education, employment, housing, the industries in your community, the roadways, the parks, the parades and traditions, having lines that reflect your community and that don't especially exclude voters of color and Black voters historically. Those elements can be central, and really weaving in that personal narrative, why this is important to you. Think about, we have some guiding questions here, and I'd really advise you take a peek at them. We can scroll down a bit more. We have this section of the guide saying what to include in your testimony, and some places to start for your own brainstorming as you're thinking about what would you write on your little notepad, what could you say in 3 to 5 minutes. Think about who lives in your community. Does your neighborhood have traditions like festivals or parades? Are there important places where people gather? Is that the school perhaps? Is it a church or another place of faith, a park? Has your community come together to advocate for important services? What are those? Are they related to the pandemic? Are they related to histories of discrimination or a lack of inclusion? have your representatives reflected the values of your community, or have, whether it's in Washington, D.C. or Baton Rouge, there been neglect in terms of your voices being heard in the legislative process and executive decision-making, or whatever else really defines the power and resources that you and your community is able to build. Has your community had to work for recognition or support from elected leaders? Think about all these things. You know your community best, you know its history, and you know whether or not elected officials have been accountable to representing you, representing your community, and making sure that the policies that they pursue are a true reflection of the communities that they serve. So those are all some things to start with your brainstorming as you're developing kind of what are the main things that I would want to tell these officials to make the case for why I need my community to be reflected in the maps that are drawn, the districts that are defined. So when you are, keeping this all in mind, again, you probably have endless stories, but what are the ones that rise to the top? What are the most compelling things about leadership and representation for your community that rise to the top? Craft that into a few bullet points. Again, you're starting with your intro, then you're saying thank you. You could even start with a thank you, whatever you want for your script. Then you get into the core of it. Why you want a second majority-minority district for Baton Rouge, for example, or for the north of the state, wherever else. Why you want a more reflective map, why you want fair and equitable representation for the members of your community. Why you think it's fair that if 1 in 3 Louisianans are Black, then 1 in 3 representatives should probably also be able to best represent and be the chosen elected officials for the Black community as well. Think through all those things and then tell it in your words, tell it through your narratives and stories. Just remember that everything that you share in this setting is going to be streamed online. It's going to be in a video that lives through this process and goes into that public testimony. So again, it's balancing what you think is compelling, what is personal, with what you're comfortable with sharing to this type of audience in this incredibly, incredibly important setting. So with that, is there anything else that maybe the fellows want to add? And I'm happy to answer questions or break this down even more based off some of the best practices that we've learned.
Thank
Those are
you.
some great points, Victoria. I don't know if you mentioned this, but you can leave a written statement too as well, right? Not only just to speak, you can leave a written statement if you can expound on that a little bit.
Absolutely. So in person, if you want to attend in person, but you're feeling a little bit shy about going to the mic, the same comment card that people fill out to get in the queue to speak at the mic, you can also write your comments on the back. And then one of the chair people will actually read that out loud into the record or summarize the point that you're trying to make. Alternatively, if you want to submit a longer letter or even your own draft maps, you can send those in via email to the House and Governmental Affairs Committee. If it's received 24 hours in advance, it's actually going to be in the folder of materials that the committee members receive. But if you don't meet that timeline, it's fine. You can still email that in. It will be seen by the committee and it'll become part of this broader record of important community input that's going to affect the ultimate maps.
We've had this discussion about the testimonies, and I actually decided I wanted to share my testimony with you guys. So I'm going to pull up what I did in Shreveport and let you all see it for yourselves. Was I a bit nervous? Of course I was at first, but get ready. Smile when you hear my voice, and here we go.
Is it playing, Miss Lisa?
Can y'all hear this? I can, because
It still looks still on this end.
Miss Lisa, what's the
it's
timestamp on
up
your
there,
video?
but
I
can't
can
hear
share
it. I
it.
don't know if you guys could.
We can't hear it. It's kind of slow on our.
I don't know if the host had to be the one to play it to hear the audio.
Yeah. Maybe we can send it to Taylor and we'll try to play it. But
So, what's the timestamp of yours, Miss Lisa?
It turned out real nice. It was good.
And Miss Lisa, what I could do is pull up the other slides and we can finish that. Do that, and then we come back and pull up the video.
That's okay. I think I got it.
Good
Is
evening,
everyone seeing
Chairman and
this?
members of the committee. My name is Lisa Tompkins, and I'm a lifelong resident
Yes.
fellow at Power Coalition for Equity and Justice, representing North Louisiana. I'm here this evening representing Power Coalition and also myself as a proud resident of Shreveport, and urging you to ensure that any map submitted to the governor should adhere to principles of equity. Since becoming a voting resident in Louisiana at the age of 18, and I might add, I vote in every election, I began to pay attention to the people that I vote to represent me in Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Baton Rouge, and Washington, D.C. I pay attention to their voting record and the things that they do while representing me. I understand that with growth comes change, but what kind of change? I've watched the trends in Louisiana over the years. Over the years, I've also watched people, my family, and my friends leave Louisiana because the representation that they have simply does not have their best interest at heart. And in the past, the representatives didn't look like them. But things have changed over the years. In a state where 1/3 of the population is Black, and there are increasing populations of people of color, we must draw districts that reflect our population and give all communities the opportunity to elect people that will represent their interest. Here's a little statistical information about the 4th Congressional District. The income per household in the 4th Congressional District is a mere $40,571. The 4th Congressional District ranks 3rd in Louisiana out of the 6 congressional districts in race, specifically Black or African American. The 4th Congressional District ranks 40th out of the 436 other congressional districts in the United States in race, specifically Black or African American. We sit here today in my beloved Shreveport with a population of 182,616 people, 57.09% Black. But our congressional delegation does not reflect this because the lines have been drawn to dilute Black voter power. Our partners at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and I thank them for coming, have submitted 7 possible maps that reflect ways that this area could be competitive and made more likely that the community can elect candidates of choice to lead and represent this state. And may I add, have my friends and family come back. It is possible to not draw maps that uphold vestiges of Jim Crow and white supremacy. We ask that you use your power to draw maps that reduce the efficiency gap, create competitive districts, and stop cracking minority communities. Thank you for your time.
And so, does someone want to talk about what's happening on Monday as well? Where people can have more of an in-person guide for training for redistricting?
And it's in Baton Rouge and at Southern University on Tuesday, but Monday there's a prep for each event. So traditionally, and Miss Lisa spoke, she did a pretty good job of speaking and getting her point across. But the day before, usually they will meet to just discuss the dynamics of the local politics and maybe come on as a tell your story together, I guess, if that makes sense, for the event. So Monday, they will have an event at the Valdry Center for such a discussion before Tuesday's testimony. So just a reminder about that as well. If you want to come in and discuss and share notes and maybe get on the same page with other cohorts or other organizations, that's a great opportunity to do so as well. So, and it's on the screen now to come by Monday. So the Valdry Center is on the campus of Southern University. And as one of the fellows, I will be there. And I think we may have another fellow, I'm not sure, to be there as well. So feel free to come on out and support and get your prep on before the testimony on Tuesday.
There we'll have maps for you. We'll have mini guides that we developed. Have the LDF guide that Tori was talking about earlier. And it'll really be yes, Lisa's holding up the mini guides right now. They're kind of like pocket size ways that you can write down your testimony and help. Also has some of the foundational things that Tori was talking about earlier, or what you heard Lisa talking about, cracking and packing. You can really understand, and it's a partnership with Black Voters Matter, ACLU, NAACP LDF, Metromorphosis. Carlton will definitely be there. One of the other fellows will be there too. And this is for Baton Rouge. I think in the PowerPoint, Taylor, I don't know if you have access to it. It does have the upcoming roadshow dates. There's another one that's happening on the North Shore that Carlos is working with ACLU on. And then we have one that's happening in New Orleans in the new year as well. But if you are in the Baton Rouge area, or if you're close to it and you want to come and get that good prep before, talk to a whole bunch of organizations and folks that have been doing this, that would be a good thing to come to. And then of course the road show is on Tuesday, as Carlton mentioned. Lisa, did you want to share if you're able? Yes, that's great. Oh, thank you. Yes, so.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have the one at Southern. And then, Lisa, did you want to share any best practices from doing 3 of these things that you know work? I know in Alexandria, you had a nice amount of white people also saying,
yes,
testifying for equity and justice in MAPS, and we understand that that is how you can show up as a good ally. Did you want to share any of those tidbits?
it was wonderful actually seeing like-minded people there that may not have had the same skin color, but they had the right mindset, and that we actually had a chance to talk with them and, told them that we were with the Power Coalition, and that if they wanted to do some more things and some more speaking out and everything, there's always Baton Rouge to come to, that we could work together with them in preparation for Baton Rouge. Other things that we have is we have this guide also from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I was using it also to get some materials out of that, and I shared it with some of the people that we had at the redistricting, what I call the prep show. We basically sat down, had a video presentation, and we answered questions. We presented them with copies of the different maps of their specific district, shared with them some demographical information, gave them my phone number, and on Tuesday during the day, I was going back and forth with email, on the telephone, talking with certain people that I had met in Alexandria, helping them get their testimony together. Also, our redistricting notes. This is also, I call it my Bible right now. It's full of information. One side, it has all the information. On the other side is where you can take notes, and it can fit in your purse. Ladies, if there are ladies on here, gentlemen, it'll quickly probably fit in your jacket pocket, but it's just that handy. And like I said, we had just a bunch of different links on the website, internet information facts, again, demographical information, and that's where the fellows come in. We're going to post our information in the chat for you to have if you want to reach out to us, if you want to get together, if you want us to do a Zoom meeting with you all, with people in your area, so we could get together and start working on presentations in case you want to travel to other areas of the state. I'm personally, since I finished with my 3 road shows up here, I'm going to cheer the fellas on with theirs for the rest of the time. But I'm also getting ready for Baton Rouge, because Baton Rouge is going to be a big deal. And if you want to go down to Baton Rouge and you want us to help, by all means, that's what we're here for.
Thank you, Lisa. Also, Carlos, if you're able to get off mute, if you want to just give a forecast of the road show that you're doing with ACLU and
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm feeling really good on this Friday afternoon, and I just want to, like Morgan said, touch on a few of the road shows. So on the 29th, Power Coalition and ACLU are having a redistricting dinner / training at the St. Tammany Library, and we will provide dinner, and we're going to build community really around redistricting. And that's what makes this coffee chat so special, because it's going to be preparing community members to testify. We want to make sure that everyone is as comfortable as they can going up to testify. And again, what makes this so special, this coffee chat, is because Power Coalition, our mission is, we are a team of organizations who believe in the power of community and taking action. Our goal is to equip our fellow Louisianians with the knowledge and information they need to find their voice and learn where and when to use it. And right now with redistricting, like I stated the last 2 coffee chats, this is a process that happens every 10 years. So this is the time now to use your voice. This is the time now to build community and take your power. So that's what makes this coffee chat so special. And on the 30th, we will be in the Covington area where we will be in community as a team, holding hands. Of course, not physically, but like spiritually, and just there, testifying for fair maps, testifying in front of the legislator, to have on record that the time is now to do what's right, to give us the equity and the justice that we deserve.
Thank you so much. So now we can open it up to see if anyone has any questions.
And please, I'm sorry, please ask any questions you have that's just sitting on your mind. All questions are good questions, because we created these coffee chats to make sure that everyone are comfortable, or to build some type of comfortability around redistricting. So all questions are good questions.
And I wanted to apologize for my technical issues earlier, but I did put in the chat where you can go and watch that video to see what an actual testimony looks like. Like I said, it's found in chat, and just scroll over to 1 hour, 55 minutes. And like Tori said, they're there forever. So it's also a good tool to go back for research to see what other people were talking about at these other testimonies.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and we have some videos online for folks as well. Please go to our social media handles. Power Co EJ is Instagram, where you can see videos. There were young people in Shreveport that came up to talk about how they want their maps to look like, and how it will be a determining factor on if they stay here. We have that young gentleman's testimony on our YouTube, on our website, and on our Facebook and Instagram as well. And we are working to pull videos of testimonies that are that we can use as examples, and we'll be able to send those out as well. We hope that everybody will join us in the areas that make sense for them. Again, coming up most recently, we'll have the Demand Fair Maps Roadshow prep at the Vaudrey Center at Southern at 6 o'clock. And then you can also take action from your home. You can go on our website, powercoalition.org, look at our redistricting page. And there you have a wealth of knowledge. Also, Tori from NAACP LDF dropped a couple of links that folks are really using as Lisa referenced, are really her Bible and her guide for being able to not only prep people, but also for her, just using them personally. We have one-clicks that you can take. And you can submit a written testimony 24 hours before the roadshow. Also, you can, if you want to learn more about redistricting, you want Power Coalition to come out and talk to you all about redistricting, you can go and request a meeting with a fellow. We drop that into the chat as well. And Lisa also dropped her YouTube testimony and put the timestamp in there so people could see that as well. People do not have any questions. This will be available for everyone on our website and on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. Carlos, would you like to say something, or the fellows, to close us out?
Yes, ma'am. So like Morgan just said, we have a lot of things that's in the chat right now, and I'm gonna make it my mission to, I have everyone's email who signed up and registered, so I'm gonna make it my mission to send a follow-up with everything that is included in this chat. Because it's so much to click on, I'm gonna make sure I include it in the email for everyone so they can have that access. And again, we're trying to build community as much as we can to make sure that everyone's voice is amplified during this process, because the next redistricting will happen in 2030. So we want to make sure that, 2031, I'm sorry, the census happens in 2030. But we want to make sure that we amplify all voices at the table. So Carlton or Miss Lisa, would y'all like to add anything? Just be on the lookout for my email.
No, just want to echo again. I will see a lot of you on Monday at the Vaudrey Center at Southern University. So if you're interested in preparing a testimony, kind of what we talked about today, what to write, how to write it, if you want to even speak in person or just leave a written statement, I'll be available on Monday to walk you through that and prep you for Tuesday.
And I'm going to go ahead and close us out. Thanking y'all so much for coming out and joining us today. Like Carlton said, he's going to put some Carlos said he's going to put some links out there, and we're going to have some more videos for you guys to watch so you can see what all is involved in testimonies. Again, it's nothing to be scared of. If I can do it, anybody can do it. You just got to put your heart into it. Like I said, we will fill you up with so much factual information. You'll look like an expert when we get done with you. Point of privilege, I'd like to remind everybody also, tomorrow is election day. I'm going to get off task for a minute. If it's election day in your area and you have not early voted, go vote. Now back to redistricting. Carlos, do you have something else to say? I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just adding in the chat as well that the next coffee chat is December 3rd. But we may or may not have one in between. That will be determined. But as far as right now, the next scheduled one is December 3rd. And that flyer will be included in the follow-up.
And one more thing, we do still have many grants available. If you're interested in doing some work and research and working in the community on getting the word about redistricting out there, there is funding available, and we have that information as well. Carlos will throw that in on the email that you guys received too. Thank you.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and close us out. Thank you all for building community with us. We really appreciate it. We're going to be looking forward to seeing y'all at other events. And here's the flyer. Thank you, Taylor, or Carlton. I'm not sure who's sharing the screen, but thank you all for joining us today. We'll be sure to see y'all at the next coffee chat. Spread the word, take the flyer, you can post it, you can send it around. We want as many people as we can. We want to touch the whole state. We have big goals. So, spread the word. We appreciate y'all so much.
And we thank Tori also for joining us today. Thank you, Tori.
Thank you,
Thank you
Tori.
all. Thank you all.